Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
My name is Zach.
Zachary, we had 2 races in a row. We finally get to have a little bit of breathing room, do something that's not race-focused, and just have a nice, relaxing one. How the frig are ya?
I'm so well, mate. You know, this is the only time I actually watch Netflix is with you on this show. So I haven't seen any of the Queen's Gambler or what are the other famous Netflix shows that people talk about?
Stranger Thongs.
Stranger Thongs, yep. That's definitely
the Australian
one of
remake. Auntie Donna's Place of Good Stuff. These are all shows.
These are all Australian shows. So yeah, no, I've been really, really, really well, and I'm really excited to watch this episode of Drive to Survive because I think it's going to be a good one. How are you?
Yeah, doing okay. I'm holding it together, having been sick for probably the last 5 days or so. Missed the weekend completely. Didn't get to go to my friend's birthday. God damn it. What else? What other indignities is this last, year and a half going to throw at me? But I'm on the mend. Please don't feel bad for me, even though I was very sick. Please just don't. I don't need your sympathy or your pity, even though I was on death's door and I'm pulling it together just to do this. Please do not feel sorry for me.
I feel like death's door is a silly one because you would imagine that death's rarely home. Like, probably not home very much at all, really. So you're knocking on Death's door, and Death's like,
Death gets a ping on Death's iPhone via Death's Ring doorbell. A little video, so that they know who it is, and they can feel good. And I don't need to leave a card. I can just sort of, wave at the camera and point at my face and say, see you later. And it's all good.
Look, I think that a podcast with me is a poor substitute for a friend's birthday party, but
disagree.
It's something.
You don't know my friends. I guess you're one of them and you know all of them.
I am one of them. I know me.
So anyway, yeah, what we're going to do today, watch an episode of Drive to Survive. We are going to talk over the top. We call it Dare to Swear. If you want to watch along, you need to queue up. What episode, Zach?
Season 5. God, you wish. We're in the future. Season 3, episode 5.
Do it right. Season 3, episode 5, which is called...
The End of the Affair.
Now, I've got a feeling that these have been getting longer, these episodes lately. As in the Drive to Survive episodes. Let me just have a quick look at the running time. This one's a neat, just under 40 minutes. This is how I like it. This is actually probably still a little bit long, but at least I feel... Well, this is my prediction going in. This is my Who Swears Wins for this week. There will be less fat on this episode than most.
Yes. I mean, they're usually pretty lean people involved in Formula One anyway, but this one, yeah, there's a lot to go through, I reckon, in this episode. So sit tight, everyone. Tune in and get ready for the hot takes on top of hot takes.
And if you're not going to watch, that's okay. I think that's the inferior experience, but that's okay. We'll still try and keep you in mind as we talk through it. Zach is going to count us in, so for those who want to hit play, can hit play.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Dun, dun, dun. We're in. We're doing it.
We're in. We're here. We got shots of the Austrian Grand Prix.
Austria.
And
how many races do you reckon you could identify just from a top-down shot?
I mean, top-down shot of the track, I think pretty easily, right? I think...
Okay.
Oh, how many? No, give me a number is what you're asking, right? So...
I mean, there's 20 tracks, 21 tracks. Let's just say, you reckon half?
10.
Okay. Because part of it is like the setting. Part of it is bits of the track. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Like you'd be able to do Albert Park, bang. You'd be able to do Singapore, bang.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be able to do Spa,
Singapore, bang.
There's 3. Monaco,
bang.
5, 4.
Austria, done.
Austria, yeah. There's 5 immediately. Like
probably
Mexico.
Others.
Is that still on the calendar?
Mexico, maybe, yeah.
Well, it's because of the stadium complex bit, right? We can.
Yeah, but assuming that they shoot that bit. If they didn't shoot that bit, I might be in trouble.
True. I just sort of thought you meant like from top-down view, that's the
oh, well, down. I mean, I guess a standard helicopter shot,
Sweeping aerial shots.
Sweeping aerial shots. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes. Right.
Anyway.
So back to the show. I mean, this is basically, this is Dan Ricciardo essentially being like, I'm going to go to McLaren, and everybody kind of finding that out. And they're all being like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Cyril Abiteboul, he's like, I thought we were in it for the long term, and we aren't. I actually wrote this down whilst I was watching this episode.
Oh, did you?
That I want Cyril Abuttable's jumper. That Renault jumper with a Lecoq Sportif, like the grey jumper with
You
white
can probably
Renault.
get it.
It's really nice.
This happened a long time ago. Remember when Fernando Alonso had that big crash in Melbourne and then came out with, may or may not have had super electric powers. And then I said it was because of that jumper that he's got. And then I was like, man, I want to buy that jumper. And someone found it, sent me a link to Amazon, and I've got it now.
Oh, maybe I'll get that Renault jumper. It's nice.
Yeah, you should.
Nice work jumper, I think.
Do you reckon it's a Renault jumper, or is it just like a standard jumper
Renault.
that someone has slapped a little embroidery thing
Hmm.
on?
Maybe not. You
Not
could
sure.
be right. Maybe they just got together.
I don't know.
And just found some nice things.
So this episode, it's all about, Ricciardo moving teams, the interplay between teams, the power dynamics between teams, drivers being one commodity that they share and trade amongst them. It's very incestuous, but we're going to see a lot of this. We're going to see a lot of Daniel Ricciardo doing strange movements and a lot of his trainer. And I believe you're a fan?
Oh, this
His
trainer,
trainer, not Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, no, Daniel can go to hell. His trainer,
You hate
great.
Daniel. Hate his
Just
guts.
correct me if I'm wrong there. Was his name Michael Italiano?
No, come on.
I think it was.
That's not real.
I think it was.
Michael, that's a fake name.
Do you think that they're keeping his identity a secret? Look, I
see it.
do have to say, though,
Let me-
these shots of Daniel Ricciardo training on his family's farm in Perth are just so outstandingly Australian. It's
Yes, it's
epic.
really nice.
That he's just like, well, they hop in the buggy, put some tunes on, drive off to find one wool shed, and they're like, this seems like pretty rock solid ground. Let's just do some boxing exercises here. Outstanding. Just so good.
Just Googled Daniel Ricciardo trainer. His name is Michael Italiano. Anyway.
You Googled it. Nice.
Yeah, on my
Michael
phone. I feel
Italiano.
like we are going back home because obviously season 1 of Drive to Survive started with Daniel Ricciardo on his Perth property with his family, just, no race suit, just like a normal guy standing on a farm. You wouldn't know him from Adam, just a very buff farmer.
Yeah.
A very buff farmer wants an F1 drive. And then next thing you know, boom, he's in a car. And it was like, Australia... This is something that I've been wrestling with for decades. Australia has such a strong rural character and identity, but we don't have a strong urban character and identity. So when people think of Australia, they think outback, kangaroos, bush, dusk, red soil, that kind of stuff. They don't tend to think, maybe if you come to Melbourne and you like, laneways, coffee, art, maybe that. But mostly Australia is like, crocodiles, kangaroos, koalas,
Beach.
bush, the bush. Yeah, the beach, exactly. Yeah. So when we see shots of Daniel there, I'm like, yes, that is a kind of Australia. That's just not all of Australia.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Like someone could show like a sweeping shot of the like Florida, like the Orlando suburbs. And I'd be like, if you told me that was like Paran, I would believe you. Like
if you told me that was
exactly
Austria, I'd disagree because I can tell that from above.
But yeah, Australian cities are mostly just suburbs. Just like almost like American style suburbia.
Yes.
So it's nice and refreshing to see Daniel Ricciardo over in Western Australia in the red clay doing his funny arm stretches and workouts.
They were funny. You're right.
God, we are still in Austria.
So, one of the things that this season did that's weird was how out of order everything is, because this all happened like pre-season. We had no racing before all these announcements happened and stuff. So, to me, I find it a bit weird that we're halfway through this Dare to Swear season and we're only now talking about this kind of stuff. But anyway, and they're presenting like Austria. It's like, well, yeah, that's where the first 2 races of the season were. Now we're only halfway through the show. I think it's strange.
I love that Christian Horner, just there's so many Red Bull reject drivers or drivers that have moved on in and around Formula One that he's just got endless people to talk to. We're seeing Daniel walk over to talk to Christian Horner and Dr. Helmut Marko. Shouldn't have taken your mask down, mate. Daniel, that's poor.
And then, because little does he know, next week he tests positive for COVID and then he dies. Sad.
Wow, hashtag sad.
Talking about old friends with Christian Horner, I know, like, I've started a new job and I noticed, like, I went and had lunch with my friends from the previous job and then I started to realize, that's right. I've been changing jobs for a long time and just collecting friends along the way.
Yeah.
I'd like to leave this job, but I would like to stay friends with everybody, please. Yes, that would be nice.
Do you start podcasts with all your old friends from old jobs?
I have so fucking many podcasts. You wouldn't even. I've and dozens that I have to do under different names so that you don't learn about them. It's fucking crazy.
I've been wondering what if Peter Baradas is hosting any.
I'd be lying.
Podcasts.
I'd be lying if I haven't strategized. If I had to do a podcast with that person, what would it be like? Definitely. I mean, this means nothing to listeners, but Constar, I mean, he is just an untapped resource in the Australian podcasting scene. Doesn't do a podcast, but man, you could do so many shows with him, all of them Nicolas Cage related.
I don't think a podcast could contain a guy like that. He would be a Twitch streamer.
Too powerful.
If he's not already Twitch streaming, I'm going to become his agent and convince him to do that. Everybody listening must have a friend where you're just like, if they were just really into streaming something, they would be amazing.
Yes,
people just have
true.
Effervescent energy.
He's just
like
magnetic.
Me and you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All I can look at now is a Beatables jumper. It's very nice.
But this is just the isn't. No, I mean the Renault gear is nice. But that one, there it is. Oh,
but look at that! It is just so tasteful, and it's a great shade on him. It's a great color.
I think he's gotten better looking as time has gone on. I think he has trimmed down. I think he is
really
like a fine French wine. He is
really
getting a real kind of look to him that kind of dusty hair. It's weather beaten, but not like it's still in good condition. His leathery skin,
2 packs of cigarettes a day, hasn't had enough sleep.
Yeah.
I mean,
this piece of camera is the best he's ever looked.
Famously on this podcast, you said that Toto Wolff was, quote, your type, and then we call him Papa Wolf. Where has this love for Cyril Beatable come from?
I don't know. There's something about this piece to camera with Cyril that I find like engrossing. Like he's attractive. I mean, unlike Will Buxton, who I'm just like, you are not the guy for me. Yeah. Sorry, mate.
I'll just look away. Just let me know when he's not on screen anymore. Are you tempted to dress a lot like Cyril Beatable, just in the hopes that one day you'll cross paths and you can just like do that sort of like that Spider-Man meme where you just point at each other like, you, hey, oh, come here. And then you're going for a hug. And he's like, oh, no, too much? No, okay. Unless you're into it? No, okay.
2 kisses, one on each cheek.
Is that
French?
Really?
Yeah.
He's French, of course. God, you've thought this through.
Yeah, I have thought this through. There's no Cyril Beatables about it. Yeah.
Don't use that when you see him.
No? You don't think you'd be into that? No.
I'm done. I don't want to see Will Buxton anymore. Come on, move on.
We haven't really stayed on track, as it were, for this episode so far. But I like Lawrence Stroll too.
Lawrence Stroll.
Here he is, chatting. I like his voice. He commands a room.
He looks like a Muppet, like an actual. Like
he's a Muppet billionaire. It's like, welcome Muppet billionaire. Casher Bucks. Here he is. And that's what he would look like. Yeah.
Big Bucks McGee.
Yes. Oh, much better.
What are we setting up here? I don't really.
I think it's just that Force India / Racing Point / Aston Martin at this point is Renault's biggest competitor. Like Renault and Racing Point at this point in 2020 are like, which one is who's going to progress? Are we going forwards, and are we going forwards faster than the other two?
Eyes up, Zach. Eyes up. Don't look down there.
And I mean, Cyril is obsessed with Racing Point, I think. See, he's here. He is. He's talking about like, I
think he's pretty insecure.
How is that statement? That's hurting because I don't understand. Like, that is Cyril Abiteboul all over it. Like, he takes Formula One is so. I mean, he should be at Ferrari, right? It's so passion. It's so passion. Hashtag it's so passion. He's very passionate about the sport. Like, it's an emotional journey for him.
I think he experiences the highs and lows and has trouble masking the extremes a little bit. More so than other people. In a less entertaining way, I would say, too. I mean, when Gunther Steiner goes off the handle, it's amazing. And then when the Beatable's a bit upset, it's like, oh, I don't know.
There were some hot takes going around about Gunther Steiner the other day. And like, he's not doing a very good job at Haas, right? Or maybe he is. He's just keeping them in the sport. I mean, but is his fame?
What's he got to work with?
Well, good point. But like, if you were his boss, would you be like, you're good, I should keep you? Like, the team has just gotten worse under his purview. I like him from what I've seen on this television show.
I guess the challenge is, it's one thing to do what you can with what you've got, but his job right now and for the next few years is to do more with less. And I'm not sure that he's the guy that can do that. That's where he's untested,
That's a good point.
I like going into the mind of someone, like they put on headphones and you hear what they're hearing, especially if it's like an out of character song. Not saying that this is necessarily, but just I think watching TV shows or movies, that's a nice trope that I enjoy.
You must have really loved Baby Driver.
Not as much as you might think.
Ooh,
I saw it. I went to see a screening with what's his nuts, the director,
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, that would be the guy. Q&A with Edgar Wright. I enjoyed the Q&A more than the movie. I was actually just I felt the movie was a really well done but very generic heist movie. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just especially because it was such a passion project for him. And I was like, really? But that's the best you... don't know. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I really liked it. But yeah, it's not like it. I'm not rushing out to buy the Blu-ray, but I really like it.
Okay, I'm really, really, really keen for his Sparks documentary.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
I really can't wait for that.
It's all
over
my timeline
Sparks?
every fucking day. Not really.
Good.
But
Great.
That's the point, right? Like everybody who, like the trailer for that film is like, this is the band that all your favorite bands really fucking love.
Well, sort of. Not really, but yeah, I know what you mean. I really think that documentary is going to be one of those good documentaries to watch. You'll come away loving the band, and then when you go to listen to them, 5 minutes later, you'll be like, I don't know. But at least watching the documentary will hype you up for it, and it'll be a great documentary.
Yes.
And I'm super psyched for it.
I mean, all the kinds of people that they're speaking to as well. Like, it's a really wide cornucopia. I suppose
that's true.
You don't need to say both of those words. Pick one, wide or cornucopia. But yeah, whether that's like they're speaking to Flea or they're speaking to Neil Gaiman. It's like, oh, wow, you've really... They're two guys that I like for different reasons. Nice one. Nice one, movie. That's
true. It does sound a little bit like Edgar Rice interviewed all of his best mates about a band that he liked. And I mean, I'm absolutely confident because there's such an amazing story there to tell. I'm absolutely confident that he will. But it is a little bit like, this is equal parts a great documentary and equal parts you just having a bit of fun.
Yeah. I feel like
fine. Anyway, Formula
2020 is the year of the documentary series. And I think we can see that when you say
I'm here for it.
These episodes are a bit longer. I feel like that is just because not as much happens, so you inevitably make the show. It's trying to make more out of nothing, so it's breathing more, but then it loses focus as opposed to really nailing it. I really loved that shot of the two cars chasing each other on the reflection of the pit. Yeah, that was very nice. But yeah, I just feel like all of the film production that was meant to happen in 2020, all of the production companies were just like, you know what we could do instead, though? Why don't we make all of these just interviews? And we just make a huge amount of documentaries instead of like new content, because interviews and documentaries are easy to make and put out. That's not true for documentary makers. I don't think they think they're easy to make and to do, but go and get the archival footage. If you can't go and film new stuff and then just do voiceovers and interviews and you're there, which is why we see so many of them. Oh, Rod, did you know that merde is shit in French?
What? I'm learning something here.
Yes. They just seem slow at this race, Renault. Just slow.
Well, they weren't great. They were not terrific. And it validated Ricciardo leaving. I mean, to be honest. It's like, if this is the trajectory, encourage me to stay because you haven't done it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that would be it would be a minor talking point for the season, but they somehow built a whole episode around it.
Yeah.
Just because of who's involved.
Well, yeah, this season, I think maybe it's more obvious this season that they have... They maybe the producers of the show have gone, okay, what are the overall themes of Formula One for the season? Is it that Renault is actually fighting with Racing Point? Okay, if that's the case, let's go and find the flashpoints of that competition. It was like this one overtake at Austria. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, there's not exactly the ongoing season battle that we were expecting. I mean, yes, it may be in the points tallies and in this Constructors' Championship, it kind of looks like that they were battling all the time. It's a bit like, maybe people in the future will look back and be like, wow, Valtteri Bottas came second in so many championships and like was really battling that with Hamilton. It's like, no, they literally never fought on track ever. It never happened. And it's a bit like that with Verstappen and Hamilton these days as well. Like, maybe we'll get a bit of that this season, but no, it hasn't really happened. Never really happened with Vettel either. So maybe looking at this season, they're like, oh, big fight between Racing Point and Renault, and Cyril was really annoyed about their bit of cheating, and forcing a Racing Point are just a bit like, we just played by the rules, like exactly as we're allowed to. So we're getting another protest episode. Another one. This is the second out of 5 episodes that focus around protests. Like, fantastic. If I was Toto Wolff, I'd be so annoyed, right? We're seeing the vision of Toto arriving in his car, and Otmar Safnauer, is that his name? The Safnauer? Safnauer. Safnauer. Lock, stock, and 2 snaffing barrels. Anyway, imagine just like getting out of your car at the track and Otmar is just right there ready to talk to you about how Renault are being mean to us. Toto will be like, God, you're your own team. Sort it out. Let me put my shipped you all those parts down in secret. Let me put my bags. Let me put my heavy bags full of all my weights. Unless you want these bags. Do you want to take my bags as well? Jeez, do you want my belt? Do you need my shoes? Jeez. Fucking hell. You could take everything else of ours. I'm going to do your job for you. Fuck. Yeah, my God, do you want to lift these weights for me as well so that my pectoral muscles shrink? Jeez. Got to impress Michael Massey in the gym. Come on. Yeah. You want to go and do that for me too, Otmar? Yeah. Do you think I'll lose my nickname as the FIA's governing body? Jeez, I don't want to lose that. What a body. What a governing body. And what a body. Well, when you don't have cameras inside, shoot some flowers. We made the joke. Where were you? I made it. It happened. We did it. Weird stretch, Daniel. God, I didn't know he had like some real heavy thigh tattoos. It's a painful spot to get an inner thigh. It's like a sleeve, but for a leg. What would you call that? I guess a trouser leg, like a pant leg, but a short at that point, right? Because it's at the top. Short. This is a complicated thing that we're unpicking here. What do you call a sleeve tattoo that is only the length of a short and it's on your leg? Ugh. Text us. Tattoo artists know. Do you think all the drivers do those reaction-based tests? We just saw Esteban Ocon hitting a tennis ball up against the wall with his hands, and then you sometimes see the fitness coach will hold like 2 tennis balls up in the air and then he'll drop them. Yeah, that's the other one. That's another good one. The guy has to catch it. Do you think you'll be the kind of guy who would do that pre-race? Do you think that that's something you can warm up your reactions? Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I think you can, because it activates that part of your brain mentally, but I mean, physically, it also just, gets things warmed up. It just gets the blood flowing. Just gets you moving. To your brain? Yeah, of course. Or to your hands? I mean, I'm not going to just sit down and be like, anyone for a game of chess? Just learn the rules. I suppose that's not you gotta just use. Well, why did Otmar turn up in a Ferrari? I thought he'd have a Mercedes. What is his personal Ferrari? He's earning BWT money, baby. Top shelf only. He has two cars. He's like Lewis Hamilton with his 2 phones. He's got 2 cars. Yeah, maybe that's it. Why don't I have the subtitles on anymore? There we are. Yeah, I was wondering that. It's so much easier to follow the show and talk when I can read the subtitles. Thanks. I'm sorry. I thought they were at the start and then I got distracted. Yeah, no, that's all good. Turn them off for everybody else as well. We're only halfway through the episode. I still like Esteban Ocon because he's like, I had to work for everything I got in racing and in Formula One. And he's been bitten by the politics in the past, right? So when he talks about it, he's like, I got fucked over one time before, don't really want to get fucked over again by, people moving around and protests and all that kind of stuff. And, he could drive better. He could be a better driver. He does have that air of perpetually number 2 driver, right? I feel like you can break all drivers up in your mind between like, are you a number 1 or a number 2? Like,
I mean, when it was in doubt, and he was in the same team as Sergio Perez, and it was in doubt whether they were on level peggings or he was number 2. I mean, well, that kind of says something, I think.
yeah. And when Daniel came in, yeah, you're still number 2, Esteban, and then
clear number 2, and then
yeah. And then you got Nando. 2. I mean, what are you going to do? Fernando Alonso comes in, you're going to be number 2.
So, we should talk about this. This was the penalty for cheating and being found guilty of cheating. They got I think that's a pretty fucking weak sauce penalty, to be honest.
I think that's what everybody's saying, right? That it's just that this is bullshit.
Well, I mean, yeah. What do you think? I mean, literally, you just said it's fucking bullshit. Do you think it's fucking bullshit?
No, I'm with them that's a fucking bullshit. I think it is. Like, there is... Oh, sorry, that would have been bad audio, just to hear me breathe straight into the microphone in disgust. That's the complicated thing, right? That the whole point of Formula One is to find loopholes and find things that the rulebook didn't accommodate for, because that's where you can find like silver bullet advantages, like really big advantages really quickly. And so teams always get a bit shitty when it's like, well, just because you didn't have a rule specifically for it doesn't mean that I should be punished for going against the spirit of competitiveness, especially when you're an up-and-coming team like Racing Point. So I can see why they'd be pretty upset, but I can also see why the FIA couldn't really slap them down with anything really heavy, because it's not like they could point to a specific rule and be like, this is what you contravened, as opposed to this general idea of like that's not very sporting. So it kind of feels like it was there to show that they could do something about it, as in the regulators could find a way to be like, look, you shouldn't really be sniffing around those areas. Please stop that kind of activity. But we are kind of somewhat toothless, so we can't really punish you because it's a bit of a closed sport anyway, so we don't want to fuck you over.
Yeah. For anyone that doesn't know or maybe has forgotten, what happened was there was a rule change that said, here's a new part and you cannot outsource the design of this part to anyone else. You have to design it yourself. So what Racing Point did was, the year before, they bought all the data that they could that year from Mercedes, which was still legal, but then they used that design the next year, the year when you couldn't purchase any design from anyone else, but they'd already purchased it. So it's a bit like starting a basketball game and throwing up a 3-pointer, and while the ball's in midair, like the game starts, and then the ball goes in, and they're like, well, that's 3 for us. It's like, well, no, because the game didn't start. So that's why it might seem like, how can there even be a gray area? But that's what we're talking about. So, I think the better thing to do would have been, number 1, you're not guilty, you're fine, go ahead. That's not going to happen again, because it's, this isn't something that is a unique situation that was created. That wasn't something that's going to happen week in, week out. Or number 2, you say, okay, up till this point, your car has been illegal. Number 1 option is no constructor points for the entire year, you're disqualified, or at least up until this point, your car has been invalid. So we're going to strip you for all points up until this race. But going forward, because we can't just kick you out, carry on, restart from 0, but carry on, and that's our decision, no further conversation. I think they had 15 points at that time, so to dock them 7.5 is half of their points. And I don't even think in the constructors it made any difference in the end. So that's why I just feel like it was just a nothing decision.
It was a nothing decision. I think you're right. I think it just is middle of the road all the way around. It's the same for the penalty of 400,000 euros, right? It's just kind of like, even that, not even in the millions of euros.
In terms of governing bodies, the FIA is looking a bit flabby. Oh, this video, my God. Oh, my God. Hello. I am human being and non-billionaire Lawrence Stroll.
I am not a Muppet.
Jesus Christ, this is hard to watch.
I love it competing under various names. You can't lock us down. We've been surreptitiously competing on various aliases.
We have never cheated we've never, in this instance, we didn't cheat. Well, we did, in this instance, we were found guilty, not guilty, half a little bit, maybe, but not quite.
Every team that isn't Renault, McLaren, Ferrari and Williams is always annoyed at those teams, that they're not those teams. Like, you just can't, you can't buy that kind of racing heritage.
It's like a 4-way rivalry that just 3 against 1 all the time.
It's the tricky thing about Sauber, right? Everyone's like, oh, well, if you know, Sauber's actually been in Formula One since the wheel was invented. They're actually got the richest racing history. It's like, yeah, but do they though? and they're not even really, at some points they haven't really been Sauber, but then they have, and now they're Alfa Romeo, and it's just kind of all over the place. Like, I feel like Lawrence Stroll there is like, look, actually, our team's been around for ages, and we've got as much racing history as any of those other teams that have been talking about. It's like, well, maybe when you look into the technicalities, maybe if I dig in deep to the Wikipedia references, yes, but on the face of it, Ferrari is a slightly stronger brand in Formula One than Racing Point. So regardless of how long you've been in F1.
I wonder, it's interesting to hear what the drivers think about this kind of stuff, because I'm sure that they're just like, I'm just going to show up and race. Like, I mean, the rest of the stuff is just the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. I'll get annoyed when the car's slow and it's hard to drive, and I'll probably base my decision on
I'll leave the team.
Yeah.
Take a bunch of jumpers on the way out. We're sorted.
Oh God, the cheap shots on the pit straight, like, I just
what a fun
can't.
guy.
There are just so. Maybe this is a controversial thing today. There does seem to be some low emotional intelligence amongst some of these Formula One team principals. But I'm like, people often talk about, like, in coaching, in sports coaching, like they might be a good strategist, but are they a good people manager? Can they get the most out of the team emotionally? Those kinds of things. Can they understand other people's drivers? And I think Cyril, the reason why he's so devastated by Daniel Ricciardo's change of team is that he thought he'd read him emotionally correctly. I think that Cyril is, probably has a relatively high emotional intelligence or is constantly concerned with those kinds of things. Whereas, like, Otmar on the grid there was just like, why would you make that jibe? Like, I don't think you've got a very good read of the situation. I don't think Cyril is going to be pissed off that you were like, hey, your wing looks like ours. I think Cyril just been like, leave me the fuck alone, mate, you dickhead. Like, I couldn't care less what you have to say to me.
Yeah.
It was a nerdy cheap shot from Otmar that was like, he probably walked away and like, oh, I got one over Renault there, told them who's who. And it's just like, hey, no one gives a shit. Cyril is the last person in the world who cares one jot about what you think.
Yeah. One jot. It's a good British word.
Not one iota.
I read this book to my daughter that's like about a cat that's not afraid of anything, and then all of a sudden the cat's afraid of its own reflection, and she loves it. And it's like, is the cat afraid of the dark? Certainly not. Is the cat afraid of the lightning? Not a jittery jot. And she loves it. I mean, I don't even have to read because she knows all the words.
I like that.
Yeah, I can get behind that. The other thing, but when you were talking about that other thing, all I was thinking about was, Ricciardo played Cyril hard. Like, he just played him, like, just completely like a chump. Made him look like a dickhead.
Yeah, you used him as a rebound, right? Got out of Red Bull, went to a team that looked like it
pocketed tons of money. What's the worst case? They end up being good? I mean, it's win-win-win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and went till the spot opened up at, where, like, he the driver's market at that point as well, when Daniel went to Renault, we learned that the season before, right? It was that he was kind of hoping that one of those jobs would come up at really one of the big teams like Ferrari or Mercedes, and it didn't. And it didn't really happen for McLaren or anything like that. So he just went to Renault because they were like, we desperately want you. And he was like, oh, well, got a lot of offers on the table. And then, he played him. But how does that make you feel about Daniel in that circumstance then? Is he just a mercenary now?
I think after he got into Red Bull and really overperformed, that obviously just the support underneath him just completely evaporated. So I think that definitely changed his perspective on just this world, how to survive and how to thrive in this world. And he probably looks to people like Lewis or whoever, or I guess even Alonso to some degree, to be like, you've got to make the move. You've got to change. You can't stick around hoping for something to change. You got to do it. Yeah.
What can you do to make sure the power is in your hands as a driver? Because basically nothing is in your control until the weekend. And even then, like, the car is so much of it. The team is so much of it. I mean, that's no wonder you hear the drivers talking so much about their personal, like, entourage and team, and like how much support they feel like they're getting from the garage. If drivers ever talk about, if a driver ever looks uncomfortable, doesn't look right, that's usually the thing they talk about, whether that's off the record or not, about like, I feel like the other guy's getting all the good stuff, getting the right people.
Didn't drop the
and
tennis
all
ball at the right
bits.
time.
Is Daniel the only guy who says understood? He's always on the radio saying understood. He's never like copy. He's always like understood.
He loves to throw it around. Understood. Yeah. Never gives it a check or a copy. I've been listening actually during races lately to keep tabs on who says check and who says copy. I haven't pegged Daniel as an understood guy, but you're exactly right.
Obviously,
Mr. Rosberg. Remember when they would be like, "Hey, Rosberg, please pit next lap," and he'd say, "Obviously."
Obviously. No, that was Mark Webber's classic. He was obviously everything.
Obviously, that's true. What's the one where Rosberg says all the time? He says obviously too, I think. As well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Definitely. They both do.
He learns it off Webber.
So cut up about it, Cyril. So cut up about it. He's still angry about it right now. He still wakes up at 4 a.m. and going,
he's awake right now.
What could I have done differently to make Daniel stay?
Done differently. He rolls over in bed and looks at the cardboard cutouts of Daniel in the Renault suits. Flips back over and
he said to me he liked crunchy peanut butter, and I don't know why we kept with the fucking smooth. If only I'd made that change.
He would be, that guy that analyzes all these little things. Why on that Zoom call did I make that joke about Australia? God, why I'm such an idiot.
When Daniel's just like, all you need to do is make the car faster. That's all I really cared about. He's like, can we have made the clothes? I should have given him one of those grey jumpers. He said he liked it. Why didn't I just get 5 cents? I shouldn't have signed it and given it to him
for his birthday.
Yes. Oh. I love the idea of Cyril Butwell just working so hard on his personal relationships with these drivers. And I wonder if he thinks about this at all with Esteban Ocon. Like, I just wonder if anybody's thinking about Ocon at any moment other than Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, I think for a brief time there, between Ricciardo announcing he was leaving and Renault announcing that they'd signed Fernando Alonso, I bet Cyril called Ocon every day. Just ask like, hey, what you doing? Just thinking about you. You're so cool. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah. And then as soon as Alonso turned up, he deleted Ocon's phone number.
New phone, who dis?
Yeah. Yeah, because he's looking over at Pierre Gasly going like, ooh, you fit really nicely in the Alpine, actually. You're a small lad. Come over here to the French team.
I thought you might have meant fit in like metaphorically or in a culture way, but no. You were thinking seat fittings and jumpers.
Yes, jumpers, yeah. Well, Esteban Ocon's a tall boy. Small? He's often talked about as being too tall.
That's true. He would need like the 2XL and he'd have to roll up the sleeves. Oh, embarrassing. Because he's so skinny, so like there's nothing of him. Just did it.
Oh. It's like, we did have the perfect lineup. I love our lineup.
We did have. We did a new left.
What do you think I did wrong?
Is it my hair? Should I have coloured it? Did I need just for men?
It's the blue and yellow hats. They're just so crap. Oh.
You don't like them? I guess it's the clash with the black and yellow as well.
You
just don't like blue and yellow together, maybe?
Yeah, it was my school uniform's colours as well.
It's an odd pairing.
Oh, yeah.
It's very... What is it? What's it look like? What's blue and yellow like that? Nothing.
Not great. Why does Renault, they're the only team there that doesn't have branded masks? Well, there's one in the background, but pretty much just all surgical all the time.
I think about that all the time when you see Valtteri Bottas in one of these like disposable $1 masks instead of like the chic Mercedes like
beautiful
custom
Mercedes with
fitted,
the little teal vents
with the little nose peak and poor Bottas. They're just like, here you go. I suppose here's a pack of 100. Don't bother us for a week.
Yeah, this is your pack for the race weekend for you and your family.
This is your pack. These are yours. I wrote VB on the side, so no complaining if they go missing. These are yours, and they're your responsibility. You're fine, Dan. Don't worry. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, people like McLaren. And don't worry, would you want to be at Renault when they rebrand to Alpine? I like that he needs a whiskey at the end of that piece to camera. I'm just going to pause it there. That's the end of the episode. I wish he had then gone on to announce his own whiskey, because now he's got his own branded red wine.
He's got his own. Oh, man. That got announced when I didn't have a job. And guess what, Zach? I have a job now, so I should get some.
Ooh, he's going to buy.
I wonder if there's even still some available, because it's, I think it was like a limited edition kind of thing. Let me have a look, Daniel. And it was like reasonable. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, it's not.
It wasn't like $500 or anything. It wasn't crap. It was good
but
stuff.
It also wasn't insane.
Yeah, please hold while I do. Or fill. Just fill while I see.
Yeah, I'm filling. You know what?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Go on. Sorry.
No,
I was going to say I haven't seen this video, DR3 by St. Hugo, of Daniel drinking wine in like next to a fire in like a big leather chair, like
the
in a
launch,
den.
the launch video. You didn't see it.
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh,
that's incredible.
It's good. Something for you to watch after this.
Yep.
You know,
when we wrap
maybe when
this
you're
up,
not in the
when we
middle
wrap
of the
up,
podcast.
When we finish our obligations. I apologize profusely. Zach, what's happening? What are we doing?
Well, we have the Monaco
scroll.
Grand Prix coming up this
Monaco Grand Prix
this weekend.
Up, yes.
Monaco Grand Prix. So, hey, I was vindicated the other day. A Formula One journalist tweeted out that Monaco, it's all about the spectacle, but because we have these absolute, I'm pretty sure it was it Luke Smith? Maybe it was like we got these absolute units of cars these days, so nothing can happen at Monaco anyway. And I was like, there we go. Zach's agenda on giant fucking cars being the problem in Formula One, vindicated. Get this cars tiny again, and we'll actually see some action at these races.
Yeah, gotta do it. Or make the track twice as wide.
I think all of those diggers are still at the Suez Canal.
Over the harbour, put a shortcut across the swimming pool. I mean, all we need is the wheel, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely gutted to confirm that the Cab Sav is sold out, but I can still get the Shiraz, so it's not lost.
Don't fuck with Cab Sav when you can drink Shiraz. Yes. Oh my God. How much is it?
Done buying this. Oh, who cares? No, I'll have a look. $65. That's fine.
Yep, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yes, add to cart.
What's that, about £13?
Anyway, we'll see you at the Monaco Grand Prix. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Superlicense. Send us an email at superlicencepodcast@gmail.com. If you've got nothing to do, if you're on a Zoom call, you're on mute and you don't have to contribute anything, maybe just go to superlicense.com.au and have a look around. Why not? And a big thank you to everyone that supports us on Patreon. Really, if you like these episodes, these Dare to Swear episodes, they're kind of really meant to be bonus content for the Patreon supporters. We give them to everybody, but you should all be saying a thank you. I'm going to say now a thank you on behalf of everyone who's not a Patreon supporter. Big thank you to all of you who support us on Patreon. This content is because of you and for you, but we just let other people listen in.
It's the generosity of the Patreon Super License Club members that enable this show to be available for everybody, and not just this show, but each and every episode.
Yes.
So thank you to all of them. I'm excited for the Monaco Grand Prix, and then I think we will have another Drive to Survive after that. I don't have the calendar up in front of me, but quick warning as well, my audio for that episode might not be as high quality and rich as it usually is, because I might not be. I'll be away from my home setup, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be an exciting weekend. If you haven't watched the Monaco Grand Prix before, if you're new to Formula One because Drive to Survive got you in here, like days like today, episodes like this, look, the racing itself, second to second, might not be mind-blowingly amazing, but as I said, the spectacle and history and all the good stuff about Formula One is going to be there. And it's an interesting race regardless. It's just not thrilling, but still good. Pop it on in the background, do some housework while it's on, that kind of thing. Yeah,
the same thing happens all the time. The rest of the year, I go, oh, bloody Monaco. And then it comes around and I'm like, fuck, this is gorgeous. I just want to watch it. I'm going to try something this time. If I happen to watch any of the race, I'm going to try and watch it without the commentary on, see if it keeps my blood pressure in check. Did this a few years ago, famously when Daniel Ricciardo won and missed the whole drama of his having technical problems. I just thought he was just driving fine. Turned out he was really like limping across the finish line in his car. But I'm going to try it again and just see if the experience is any better or not. I'll confirm on next week's show.
Cool. Good idea. All right. I haven't got anything else to add, so should we call it?
Nah. Yeah, we'll call it there. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the Monaco Grand Prix. And until next time, my name's been Rod.
My name's been Zach.
We'll see you for the glitz and glamour of the Monaco Grand Prix. Bye-bye.
Bye.